Welcome back, guys. Today I thought I'd talk a little bit about Manjaro. As you know, I'm a big fan of Arch Linux, and I'm a big fan of Manjaro. I think Manjaro makes Arch Linux available to the average computer user, and Manjaro is a terrific distribution for somebody who's coming over to Linux for the first time from Windows or Mac. They set it up very easy. They make it user friendly. It's just a terrific distribution, and I particularly like the package management system. And really, that's what attracts me to Manjaro and Arch Linux in general is the package management system. So there is so much more of software available without jumping through hoops and adding PPAs so it just makes it easier from a software standpoint. So if you're coming over to Linux and specifically Manjaro from Windows or Mac, and I really think that's a great idea if you do try Manjaro, because I think it is a distribution that if you are coming from Windows or Mac and you try Manjaro, I think you're going to stay with Linux. I really do. Manjaro puts out a terrific product. They have a tremendous community. They have a lot of different flavors or desktop environments within Manjaro. So you can install their flagship uh, desktop environments, which are XFCE and KDE, and they also list as flagship their net installer. It's a command line install. And so they have a little something for everyone as far as desktop environments. The community spins include Budgie, Deepin, um, Mate, which is what I have here. And so no matter what look or feel you're looking for within Linux, Manjaro probably has something that you'll be comfortable with. So if you do install Manjaro for the first time and you're wondering what should I do first, I have some suggestions for you. And this video is going to cover the top 10. And then, of course, once you do these top 10, then you can go off on your own and change it and tweak it and do whatever it is that you'd like to do to make it your own. So let's go over the list. Now, the first thing you want to do is update Manjaro. And then I've also got number 2, configure your package manager to add yaourt. Now, whether or not you add yaourt, that's entirely up to you. There is some risk with yaourt because the packages are not as strictly monitored. So there is some risk. But I personally always add yaourt to package management because it makes so many more packages available. I'll give you an example. If I come over to, well, let's do the first one, update Manjaro. This little star icon in the top right is the icon for updating your system. Now, if you click on that, if it's red and you click on it, it's going to open up your update window. If it's not red, if it's just gray like this, you're going to right click and you can bring up Update Manager, which will go through and determine whether you need any updates. In this case, my system is up to date. I'm going to close that out. If I right click and this time select Package Manager, it's going to bring up a Package Manager window. Now this lists all of the packages available within Manjaro, and that's what it's configured for out of the box. Now, for example, if you want to install GIMP, which is similar to a Photoshop, and you type GIMP, it's going to look for GIMP. Now, if you check off GIMP, it will pull in the dependencies for GIMP. So I'm going to change that search to a package called Etcher. Now, as you can see, Etcher doesn't bring up anything. It brought up NewsFetcher, which is the closest it can find. Now, Etcher is a program that will burn an ISO file to a USB drive in case you want to try a different distribution of Linux. So, for example, if I want Etcher, well, it's not in the standard repositories. It's in yaourt. So, what you're going to do is you're going to click on the little menu icon, go down to Preferences, put in your password, and I usually leave all the defaults except I will enable AUR support, and then I personally check off these 3 packages. Now, you may decide not to check off this third one for asking for confirmation, but it makes the installs a little bit faster, and I don't have a problem doing that. If for security reasons you prefer to answer all the confirmations during install, that's entirely up to you. So if I check that off, and I search again, and if I go into AUR, you can see it added the tab for AUR. There's Etcher. So now you've got a tab for your standard repositories and a tab for your AUR. So if you want to install a package from the AUR, you just check it off. It opens up a lot more possibilities as far as individual software packages being available to you. It just makes in my opinion, it makes your overall experience better, but that's entirely up to you. There is some risk with the AUR, as there is risk in anything that you do on your computer over the internet. So that is your updating process and configuring your package manager. Now, once you configure your package manager, you can close that out, go to your menu, pull up a terminal, and you're going to enter this particular command: sudo pacman -SYU. Put in your password, and it's going to synchronize your system. In this case, it's telling me there's nothing to do because I've already updated the system. So you want to update your system. Now, the next thing you want to do, you've got number 1 and number 2 out of the way. You want to install your firewall. Now, there are 2 ways of doing it: graphical and command line. I usually go for the graphical, which is a package called sudo pacman gufw. If I highlight that and I paste that into my terminal, it's going to pull in the package. It's going to pull in UFW, which is the basic firewall, but it's going to add the G for graphical interface. So I'm going to click on yes. Now I have a graphical interface firewall. If I go to my control center, you can see I now have a firewall configuration option. Now, if you're not using, now when I set this up, I just turn it on. I don't change any of the arguments. I don't change any of the configuration rules. I just leave it the way it is for default. It's very simple. So now that's running. My system has my firewall enabled. I'm going to close that out. Now, if you don't have Mate and you don't have this menu, just go over to Preferences, and you'll find it in Internet and Network, and there's your firewall configuration. Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4 is ranking the mirrors. Now, Manjaro has a super easy command for testing all of the repo mirrors and ranking them so that your updates and your downloads for package management go as quickly as possible. So if I run that command, it's going to query all of the mirrors throughout the world. It's going to rank them, and it's going to select the best mirrors for your location. And once that's done, as you can see, it finished all of the various countries and it saved the mirror list. So it identified the fastest mirrors and saved it to the pacman.d mirror list file. Very easy. Okay, now one of the interesting things that I have found out recently is that Infinality Fonts is set up within Manjaro, and all you have to do is turn it on. Now, the process is a little more difficult if you just have a plain vanilla Arch install, but Manjaro has made it pretty easy. And let's take a look at what you'll do. You see this command here? And I'm going to put these notes in the show notes. If I copy that and paste that into a terminal, now I have leafpad installed as my text editor. So you will, if you're using a different text editor, you will change this, take out leafpad and put in the name of your text editor. So on this configuration file, you can see that Infinality mode is number 38. You've got 3 different modes for fonts: classic, Infinality, and minimal. Right now, everything in this file is commented out. In order to activate one of these 3 modes, you will have to remove this hashtag or # from this line and put the corresponding number in for the one that you want. I'm going to go with Infinality, which is 38. So if I take out 40 and I put in 38 and I get rid of that hashtag and save the file, now my system is set up to use Infinality fonts. You won't notice much of a difference until you log out and log back in. So actually, I would reboot and then go into your system settings. So if I go into Control Center and Appearance, in Mate, that's where you'll find your fonts. And then you can change the font to whatever you like. Now, if you're using Infinality, I would use Subpixel. Then I would use Slight Hinting and RGB. I would bump this 94 up to 96 dots per inch. And that's the way I would leave it. But then, as I said, you can change your font. And right now it's set up for Sans Regular. So normally I use the Droid Sans font. And for this, in this case, it would be Droid Sans Regular. Right there. So, and I usually bump it up 1 to 11, and I would select that. And you can see that made a difference. Now you would go through, if you want to use Droid Sans across the board, you would go through and change each of those. And pick the one that you like the best. Okay, so that takes care of enabling Infinality Fonts. Now, we set our fonts and our sizes, and now we have to determine whether we want to do any gaming. Now, if you want to do gaming within Manjaro, Steam is usually installed out of the box. So if I go to my applications and games, you'll see Steam there. If you have a Steam account, then you'll just click on that and sign into your account. If you want to do additional gaming such as Blizzard games like Battle.net, Hearthstone, StarCraft, Diablo 3, if you want to do anything like that, then I would suggest that you install your graphics drivers, the correct graphics drivers for your system. Normally, when I'm playing Battle.net games, I don't usually go through playonlinux. I go through Wine and Winetricks. Wine and Winetricks usually works with Manjaro very easily, and I have a video on that. But if you want to be fully functional for gaming, this is what I would suggest. Get your graphics drivers up to date. Install playonlinux, Wine, Winetricks. Make sure if you've got a 64-bit system that you're enabling 32-bit libraries. Now multi-lib is enabled in Manjaro out of the box, so you don't need to do anything there, but you may need to add 32-bit libraries. And you see this lib32-libldap, that is a critical file for Battle.net, for Manjaro and Arch Linux. So if you want to do Battle.net gaming, this file is specifically required. Now, if you have an Nvidia card, all you need to do is copy and paste this command and install these packages. Now, you don't need, if you're using Manjaro and you have Nvidia and you selected the non-free option during the install, then Nvidia is already going to be installed. And let's see, that's under other, I think. Yeah. So my Nvidia drivers are already installed because I selected the non-free option during the Manjaro install. So these commands do not include the Nvidia driver commands. These just include 32-bit libraries for Nvidia and other files that you would need in order to avoid any audio issues. But I also added on Wine, Winetricks, and playonlinux because Steam is already installed. So that will take care of pretty much everything that you want for your gaming. The next thing I would do is install your antivirus. Again, I'm not debating whether you need it in Linux, but my question would be, why wouldn't you want to have it if it was available and it's free of charge? So I have a video that I put out recently on configuring clamtk within Linux. I would install and configure clamtk, get that set up on your machine, follow the steps in the video. For utilities, you've got htop, screenfetch, hardinfo, cherrytree, etcher, wmail. Those are the ones that I normally install for utilities. Now I usually, for system tray utilities, I also include Redshift, Synapse, psensor, and Clipit. So I'll leave those there and you can copy those and make a decision on whether you want to install those. But those are all good utilities that perform a function for you and make your computing experience much nicer. So then you'll decide whether you want to add an additional browser. Firefox comes installed out of the box. You can install Google Chrome, Chromium. Now, by enabling yaourt, let's go to the package manager. If I do a search on Google Chrome, you can see that it is available in yaourt. If I do a search on Chromium, because it's the open source version, then that will be available in the standard repositories. And so you can decide which one, if any, you'd like to install. Now then you can install some icons, themes, and additional wallpaper just to make it look the way you like it to look. So I haven't really changed much on this theme, but I did add a few icons and I did add a few themes. Now if I go to my control center and click on appearance, right now it's set up on the default, but I have a few others. Now I like Adapta, so I installed Adapta. Adapta is available within yaourt. So if you do a search in your package manager and I search for Adapta, it's going to be available in yaourt. You can see Adapta GTK theme, I have it installed already. If it comes up with a little green box, then that means you've already installed it. So I like Adapta, but there are others that are available. I like Blue Submarine if you're using Mate. It's a very nice theme if you're using Mate. But if I click on Adapta, for example, you can see that the look changes. It's got a bluish highlight color. I happen to like the Adapta theme, so I'm going to go ahead and leave that. It changes everything to the blue font. It's a very attractive theme. I'm going to go ahead and leave that. Now if I click on Customize, then you can change your controls, which I'll leave as Adapta. Window border is automatically set as Adapta. Now as far as icons, I've installed a few additional icons. I installed the Arc icon theme. I installed Faba. I installed Mocha. And the other one that I usually use, and the default is the Vertex Maya, but the one that I usually use, I'll go ahead and install that and show you. The one that I usually install is Fienza. So if I do a search for Fienza, you can see that there are various versions of it. I usually just go for the plain icon theme. If I click Apply, Commit, enter my password, and it's going to go ahead and install Fienza icons. So it's in the process of doing that right now. And you can click on Details to see the progress. Now it's finished. I'm going to close that out. And if I go to Customize, my icons should be available. And there's Fienza. So I usually like Fienza because it's a simple icon theme. So if I close that out, I now have my Adapta customized. You can change your background. So if you'd like a different background, you can just select it from this menu, or you can go online and install backgrounds according to your preference. You can download those from the internet. Fonts, as I mentioned, I already made one modification, and the interface I just leave as is. So now you can see the look has completely changed, and I'm going to leave it just the way it is. Now that's the top 10 things that you can do. There, I could add another 50 to the list, but that will get you a basic functioning system, get it to look a little bit more what you'd like, and you'll have pretty much all the bases covered as far as your utilities and running on a daily basis. Now, as far as software, Manjaro has quite a bit of software loaded out of the box. You've got a lot of different accessories, you've got graphics, you've got a image viewer. Now, if you want, as I said, if you want to do more intense photo editing, then you'll want either a Shotwell or a GIMP. Internet, you've got Firefox, Thunderbird, Steam. It comes with LibreOffice out of the box, which is a very good office suite. And sound and video, I installed guvc View, OpenShot, Simple Screen Recorder, SM Player. VLC is loaded out of the box. And then you've got your system tools, gparted. So Manjaro gives you a very full-featured system out of the box, and then of course you can add as you go. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. That is the top 10 things that I always do after installing Manjaro. Thank you for stopping by the channel today. Please rate, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you soon. Take care.